Hey everyone, this is Justin. I just wanted to say a quick hello and I hope everyone is having a great week. I'm so excited to share my latest Dollartree project with you. I was really inspired by West Elm for this one. I love their wall hangings. They're kind of like that vibe that I've been going for lately. I created this project as part of a Dollartree surprise box challenge with my friend Kate, the Curbside Ninja, on Instagram. I'll link her Instagram down below. You definitely need to check it out. I love her design style, and what she does with her curbside finds is absolutely amazing. For this challenge, we both sent each other boxes full of goodies on a budget of $15, and we were allowed 15 more for any of the materials that we needed. You can check out my unboxing if you'd like under my highlights on Instagram, but besides the paint and stain that I used, this project cost me around $5, and I tried to make the video as short and sweet as possible, but I also wanted to include all the steps in case you wanted to create your own. I absolutely love this project, and I really hope you do as well. So the first thing we want to do to start is I just took a little bit of this craft paint and I mixed it in with some water. And this is going to create the dye for our twine. Now, as you can see, I'm going to take this Dollartree twine, and I took about a half of a bundle. I think each bundle is about 420 feet. And I'm just going to put that into the water, move it around, and let it sit for a bit. And now what I did is I didn't really wash it out because I wanted it to really soak in the color. So I just put it on a plastic bag and let it dry outside. For the next step, I took one of these microfiber mop heads from the Dollar Tree and I just pulled it out of its bundle at the top, and you actually end up with a ton of string from this, which was great because I actually didn't even use an entire mop head for this project. But I was trying to stain it, and I kept trying coffee and every different way I could possibly think of. And finally, I came to the solution that I just mixed a little bit of Minwax stain with some water and let it soak in there for a bit and moved it around. And that's how I created my stain for this. And as you can see, I just moved the stain around as much as possible. We don't want it to cover the entire thing because you'll see the color results when we go to wash it out. All I did was I used a little bit of soap and kind of moved it all throughout it, and it just gave it a little bit more of a natural tone. And then I also just left that outside and let it dry. For the next step, you want to take one of these placemats from the Dollar Tree, and what I did is I just cut it in half. And as you can see, we end up with two pieces. These are going to be what we attach the mop head to. So what I wanted to do was just cover it in a light coat of spray paint in a more neutral color. That way, in case any of it kind of peeked through, it was covered and it blended in. As you can see, I'm kind of taking you through all the prep work involved in putting the project together. So for this part, I just took a dowel rod that I bought from Lowe's for about $2, and I cut it a little bit wider than the width of the placemat. And I just sanded off the edges to make them smooth. Now for this part, this is where we're gonna start our fringe, and what we wanna do is just kind of make these bundles, and what I did is I wrapped them around my arm, and I wanted them to be about 2.5 times longer than the length of the placemat. So I'm just gonna make a whole bunch of these and then cut off the ends, and that's gonna create our fringe. And then all I did to attach them was I just used a little bit of hot glue, and I kind of spread them out so they were a little flat, and then just pressed them right on top. And then you just want to continue all the way across the bottom. And once we have the whole bottom covered, now what we want to do is create a second layer using the gray twine that we dyed. It also really helps to take a pair of scissors and use the flat part and really press it down, that way it lays flat. And as you can see, our fringe part is done. We're gonna go back through and trim it later, but for now, I just left it long until I get the rest of everything on. Now what we wanna do is go ahead and attach our dowel rod to the top. So we're gonna use a little bit of string for this. I wanted to do it this part because I wanted to be able to cover up where we hot glue the strings down. So to attach this, all we're gonna do is cut a whole bunch of pieces about 2 inches long, and then those are gonna be the loops for where we attach the dowel. And these weren't perfectly spaced out, but I went ahead and used a ruler to kind of create marks where I wanted to place my loops at. And as you can see, we're just going to hot glue them down all the way across, and then we'll attach the dowel. Now to attach the dowel, all I did was I placed it down and I looped the string over and then hot glued down the ends. And then I just went back through and I cut off the excess string. Now it's time for the fun part. So what I did is I kind of wanted to mark out where my middle section was. So I made some marks and then I also put a line at the bottom. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and start gluing down my mop head and kind of creating a design. You'll see as we go. One tip I do have if you use this mop head is if you press it down and kind of push it out, it creates a fuller look. So I left this whole next part in because I wanted to be able to show you the pattern that I created. I just sped it up a little bit and I think it turned out super cute. So as you can see, I used those little marks that I made as kind of like a guide because I wanted to leave the middle section open because I'm actually going to go ahead and create a braid and cover it with that later. And for this part, as you can see, I just went through and I covered up the ends of those, kind of creating like a different pattern. I kind of mimicked like the pictures that I saw of the wall hangings that West Elm has.
When you're using the mop head, just make sure to really press it into the layer that you put down before, and then that creates a really full look. And then if you do have any little gaps, just use the hot glue gun and go back through and kind of glue the string down into place to cover them all up. Now we're going to start the top part, and we're just pretty much going to do the same thing, creating the pattern on the top. And that's it for creating our pattern part. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to create a traditional braid, just looping one string over the other one, and then this is going to create what we're going to cover that middle part and cover up all those extra strings with. And a little tip is I just used a little bead of hot glue to keep the braid together. And the braid that I created is about 4 feet, and that'll give us 4 different parts to be able to cover that middle section. I think this ended up working out perfectly to be able to cover that large section in the middle and at the same time creating just a little bit more detail. And I wanted to make the top part a little bit longer, so I just went through and I glued down a couple extra strings. And that's that. That pretty much finishes off our detailed part, the front part. And then what I did is I just went through and I glued down all the strings to attach them to the back. And then you just want to go through with your hot glue gun and glue down any little pieces, and that just really gives it like a polished look. And now what we want to do is go through and separate out our different colors of strings, and then we're going to cut them to the lengths that we like. And what really helped is I created this braid and I just flipped it on the back side so I could cut one color at a time. And now what we're going to do is use our nice little comb that I got from the Dollar Tree and brush out all the strings so they lay down flat, and we're just going to cut the bottoms. And then what I did is I just went through and I cut the gray strings at an angle because I really wanted to be able to see the white strings on the bottom. And to create another angle, I just went through and I cut the white strings at the bottom in a straight line. If you're still watching, I promise, we're almost done. So now what I did is I took a little bit of this cotton twine and I just tied it on the ends to kind of create my hanger for the top. One more step and we're done. So I always try and clean up my projects as much as possible. So I wanted to hide these strings because I didn't really like them in the back. So I took the other piece of the placemat that we spray painted and I just hot glued it down on top of the strings to kind of cover them and create a backing. And that's it, we're finished. I know I say this for everything, but I absolutely love this project and I love the way it came out. What I love is that you could do this in so many different color combinations. And honestly, with the materials from the Dollar Tree, this only cost me a couple dollars and I think it looks so sharp and I love how much it looks just like the West Elm ones.
I really hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was kind of long and the process was kind of lengthy, but I really enjoyed doing this project and I wanted to share it with everyone. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and you can also follow me on Instagram at Justin Ray. Ray is spelled with a W-R-A-Y. Thank you for watching.